Coming up to West Caicos. It's a little tight to get into the marina. There are no markers, so we'll see. I think we'd rather just grab a ball. Today, West Caicos delivers the full package. Insane wall diving right off the boat, stacked coral gardens in crystal clear water, and a blacktip reef shark making friends with his new neighbors. Then we pop topside for a quick look at Lake Catherine, the salty pond where you can sometimes spot flamingos, before pointing the bow towards the Bahamas for an overnight run. Along the way, the new Bahamas fees and AIS rules are a hot topic, between a few swells, a sunrise, and a classic "why is nothing working" Furuno moment. If we haven't met before, I'm Jen, and this is Dave. We're a Colorado couple who traded snow boots for scuba fins and now live aboard our Nordhavn 55. So welcome, and don't forget to hit that like button and smash subscribe so you can follow right along our journey. We made it to our anchorage. It's actually not an anchorage, it's a ball. Just go right off West Caicos. Come on, let's go show you the ball. So this is all about 40 feet of water, and there are all kinds of coral heads down there, and we decided after we got in, since we got in a little bit early, we'd jump in with our snorkel to check things out. We jumped in to scope it out, and beneath our boat was a blacktip reef shark, a whole squad of jacks, and our standard stalking barracuda. We need longer days, guys. Longer days. We splashed in, and surprise, our blacktip reef shark was still on patrol, curious as ever. We stay calm, give it some room, and let it cruise past like the boss it is. Blacktip reef sharks are usually cautious and pretty predictable, but we still keep an eye on them and stay close to each other. If one ever seems too interested, we'll calmly back away, but in hundreds of dives that we've done, we've never had to do this. Would you dive or snorkel with blacktip reef sharks? Scan to comment. Sharks seem to be a pretty hot topic these days. We'd love to hear your thoughts. That was such a cool dive. That was beautiful. Dropped off at like 50 feet. That was so cool. Uninhibited West Caicos has its own secret salt pond called Lake Catherine, a shallow, salty wetland tucked right in the middle of the island. When conditions are right, you'll spot American flamingos out here, bright pink dots cruising the shoreline like they own the place, because honestly, they kind of do. And the best part? This wildlife sanctuary sits just inland from the ruins of Yankeetown, an old 1890s sisal settlement. We're on dive number 2. Just checking our dive computers as we ascend for more shallow dive. Of course, we are greeted by barracudas nearly every time we jump in the water. They're so curious but look so mean. This one was about 3.5 feet long. Just off in the near distance on the edge of the wall, a spotted eagle ray floats by. Aqua terrain of West Caicos is pure drama with its razor-sharp iron shore jagged limestone. Just beneath the hostile edge, the ocean turns unreal. Bright, compounded coral gardens stack up in the shallows. Terraces of color, sand shoots, and reef life swarming. So we went to snorkel the coral gardens. I'm in a little hole. Isn't that pretty over there?
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it before.
Smashing pufferfish.
Yeah. Just there. They don't let you get too close. So we just moved from the driveway wall on West Caicos over to an unnamed wall. There are several, I don't know, a dozen of them?
At least a dozen.
Maybe at least a dozen.
It's called the driveway. And then when you get down to the wall and you're coming back, it looks like a driveway coming right up to the wall. So that was pretty easy to find our boat.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. But we dove that twice, and then we snorkeled along the shoreline, and it was absolutely gorgeous. Completely different world down there. Excited to see what this brings tomorrow. We'll just dive right off the back of our boat. But yeah, look at the sunset. And our click to clear. Right ahead to the Bahamas. About 22-hour ride. Gonna do an overnight.
So we're getting ready to check into the Bahamas. We did our click to clear. That'll be fun. Paid our little fee. Now, there's been a lot of talk online, a little banter, about the new customs fees here in the Bahamas. Not going to get into that. Why? Here's why. Last year, I went to 22 different countries. Visited 22 different countries. When I say visited, I was a visitor. I'm a resident of the United States. I get to vote here. I'm a visitor in the other countries. And one thing that always helps me get through, whether I'm going through customs or anything else, is this little mantra. Their country, their rules. That's right, folks. You're a visitor. You go to someone else's country, go to someone else's house, their rules, their country, their rules. So if you get over to France and they charge you a 45% fee on tax on all the food, you don't like it, well, you don't have to go there anymore. Bahamas have implemented some new cruising fees. I'm not going to tell you if I like them or not like them. That is what it is. I'm paying them and we're going to be here for a while. But one thing that did get overlooked, and this is something that I think needs a little bit more attention because nobody mentioned it. Everyone just went straight to the fees. The fees suck, and then all you Chads and Karens got online and started debating and yelling and boycotting and all the other crap, which does you no good except get your internet blood pressure up. Nobody mentioned the mandatory requirement that vessels larger than 50 feet have AIS installed and turned on 24 hours a day while you're in the Bahamas. Now that's something I will give you an opinion on. I think it's flipping great. I think all the boats should have this. General Aviation went through this a couple of decades ago. Pretty much the same thing, putting in TCAS, which is a alerting system. Won't get into that too much, but it took a long time to implement. One of the reasons is that the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, AOPA, is a really big lobby group. They have a big voice in Washington and a big voice in proposed notice of proposed rulemaking by the FAA. So they said, hey, not all airplanes need the sophisticated device, especially the crop dusters in Arkansas, the little J3 Cub without an electrical system. Can we carve out some little sections? And they did that. And over the course of a couple of decades, it went from, you know, you had to have it here, you had to have it there, now you need to have it more places, to eventually now pretty much every airplane that's built that has an electrical system has that same thing as AIS on a boat, if you're boaters. So if you go out boating, a lot of times you see these big boats crossing the Gulf Stream, cruising around, no AIS. You pick them up on radar if you're lucky, but wouldn't it be nice, just wouldn't it be nice if everyone cruising around in the waters had AIS, and you had that on your chart plotter, and the alarms went off when it was getting close or too close, or your CPA or ARPA was too much? Wouldn't that just be nice if all those boats had it? Now, yeah, there are a couple of negatives, but I'm not going to get into that. Most of the time, having AIS on is a good thing. Bahamas just started that. I hope soon, and I'm not into over-regulation, I don't think we should be over-regulated, but this is more of a safety thing. Having an AIS on is safety. Having it on in an anchorage is safe. When it's pitch black and someone's coming in trying to anchor in a crowded anchorage field, shouldn't be doing that, obviously, but it's nice to have those boats on. If something goes wrong, isn't it nice just to come up and hit a distress signal with your AIS on instead of not having it? I think the Bahamas did a good step there. I hope the US starts with it. I think it should be phased in generally. If you're crossing open waters, you should definitely have it on. I mean, think about it. Every commercial boat has it, so why shouldn't pleasure boats have it as well? And the only thing I think they really screwed up was I think they should have made all those little tour boat operators in the Bahamas with those 40-foot center consoles with 72 tourists and quad 500s and 16 kilowatts of speakers on it blaring through the anchorage field. Those suckers should have AIS on too. That would be nice. So there's my little rant for the day. Bahamas fees, they are what they are. Their country, their rules. AIS, everyone get one, everyone turn it on, everyone use it.
We're actually just finishing up our overnight from West Caicos to Clarence Town. Anyways, I wanted to share with you this beautiful sunrise.
Had some gremlins today when we left and couldn't figure out what was going on. The radar was off, the depths were gone, couldn't get either one of the radars. We had two separate radars. I couldn't get either one of those to work. AIS had a bunch of funky messages on it, and I was trying to figure out what they were all connected. So generally speaking, what I normally do is, learned a long time ago, go back to the last thing you touched. What was the last thing you touched? Something around there. So couldn't figure it out, and it was really bothering me for the last couple hours. I even broke out all the manuals because, you know, manuals. And then finally I said they're all connected somehow. What connects all this stuff together? And I went down underneath here, underneath the steering wheel. There is a hydraulic pump, or excuse me, hydraulic reservoir for the steering that needs to be checked before we take off, before we leave. And it was a little low, like it is right now. And I was pumping that up with just like this little hand pump, like a tire pump, bicycle pump. And right over here is the network box for the Furuno. So all it does is just ties in all the information from radars, satellites, even the stereo, and connects it all to all three of the Furuno screens. And two of those had come unplugged because my big fat head probably knocked it around when I was in there. So replugged them in, and now everything's working just fine. Gremlins.
So So we're making this crossing from West Caicos over to Clarence Town, Long Island, Bahamas, and it's really, really rolly. Makes us a little wheezy. It was also like this on our anchorages on Big Sand Key and also West Caicos. Calm winds, but these waters, you just get these huge swells because you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're right on that. You're facing the windward side, or leeward side, but there's no protection from the islands because they're pretty much flat. But it was pretty uncomfortable for a couple nights. We did put our flopper stoppers out. I actually used to get super, super sick in cars, anything moving. So I don't know why, but these days I don't get as sick, but this has bothered me. So I had to put on a little, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, scolopamine, put on a patch. It helped me a lot. I still get a little nauseous. We haven't gotten like seasick yet. So if you have any tips for me on that, I eat ginger chews. I have Dramamine and Bonine, one other drug that I could take, but they just knock me out, make me tired. So I would love your comments on what could help, because these overnights are a little tough when you don't get a lot of sleep because it's rolly. Yeah. Advice, please. If you made it this far, thanks so much. Hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you the next time somewhere offshore.